we are live.
We're live.
We're live.
Okay. Well, welcome to Hobby Vomit, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ian, and I'm here with my co-host Matt, and we have a special guest, Chance. Also, I probably should stop pointing because I don't actually know which direction people are in on the recording. But yeah, so this is pretty awesome. This is our first time with a special guest. So Chance Dillon, who is an author of a upcoming book, Mercy Tears of the Fallen, has agreed to join us, which we are very humbled by. And so this will be kind of our first time doing this as an interview. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be us just having kind of an open discussion about Chance, getting to know him and the book that he's working on that's about to come out very, very soon. And so I think the way we're going to start this off is Matt has put together a bunch of questions that he's just going to quickly roll through just to kind of help us get to know Chance. And then we'll kind of talk about Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. So did I miss anything?
No, I think let's roll into it. So,
Okay.
Chance, welcome. And yeah, I figured, I've watched a decent amount of author interviews and stuff, but sometimes I feel like I'm missing getting to know the author. So I put together a couple rapid fire this or that questions for you. A couple notes. This is graded.
Right.
We are going to rate you objectively as an author based off of these answers.
Yeah. I'm going to fail.
Ian, keep score. So here we go. We're going to do 10 now. We'll do 10 kind of in the middle of the interview. We'll do 10 at the end, and that will be fun.
Heck yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You don't even need to think. You just got to answer.
I'm already I'm primed.
Yep. You drank your hydrogen peroxide, and you're
Drank
good.
my hydrogen peroxide.
You're
I'm
good.
primed.
All right. Here we go. Gatorade or Powerade?
Ooh, Gatorade, but I would say only because I drink the electrolyte version. Otherwise, Powerade.
All right. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Paperback or hardback?
Ooh, mass market paperback. Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
say that?
Mhm.
Yeah, mass market.
We're going to have to dock some points, though. Audiobook or physical book?
Physical, usually.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
That's so tough. Fantasy.
Tom Selleck's mustache or Tom Orange's mustache?
Tom Orange.
All right. Spicy or mild?
Is it are both sweet?
Sure.
Like there's a little
They
sweet
could
in
be- they
there.
could be a little
Spicy.
sweet.
I'll take spicy.
All right. Early bird or
Yeah.
night owl?
Lately, night owl. Usually early bird.
Okay. Nice. And then phone call or text?
Phone call.
All right. Round one, you did it. 10 out of 10. You nailed it.
Classic
do it.
gentleman with
And
a phone
now
call.
we
Yeah.
know you. We know you intimately.
You know me. Yeah, about as well as anybody actually probably can. Yeah.
I also love that the fastest response of all 10 was the mustache. Just
Yeah,
boom,
Tom Orange.
done. Yeah, there we
I
go.
mean, yeah, it's a
We
lot.
got to send this clip to him.
Yeah.
I'm also super grateful that I'm your first guest. That's actually really cool. Didn't realize.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you. It's gonna be fun. We're setting the standard, right? So
Yeah,
it's all downhill from here.
I don't know why. That's wild.
We peaked so early. That's the
Yeah, we've already peaked.
That's so funny.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, I think the way that Matt and I discussed this, we'd like to get started. And if you wouldn't mind, Chance, could you maybe just pitch Mercy for the audience and for us? Obviously, Matt and I have read it. I think Matt's put together a review for it. I'll be putting together a review for it as well. I'm still working through it, but we'd love to kind of, we'd love to hear your pitch for it.
Yeah, I'm super grateful, Matt. You took the time to make a video and chat about it. And same to you, Ian. Just grateful you're reading it. And yeah, so I said in a conversation last week with Amy, Jacob from Talking Story, Philip Chase, Tori. The reason I'm saying this, Laura Blake, is because I'm going to try repeating this pitch about as high quality as I can. If you like waking up with amnesia on an island and you have no idea, and you like kind of not knowing where you are, and then eventually figuring it out and being like, oh, that's a good starter. And then I also always say, I started really writing with the prompts in my mind of what would Aragorn do if after the War for the One Ring he lost everything, and then what if Sam had to kill Frodo in order to save Middle Earth? Those are the two prompts that I kind of went into writing with, and from there, We get a post-apocalyptic world, very, very heavily inspired by Elden Ring, narratively, and also just the landscape. In a lot of ways, there's a little bit more political movement that you see. The lore of Elden Ring has a lot of political stuff going on and wars and all this. But you very much are at the forefront of political activity in Tears of the Fallen, especially. But yeah, that's kind of the quick pitch is the what if questions. But yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Would you be? I gotta know. Would you be disappointed in me if you found out, hypothetically, that I've not read Lord of the Rings?
No, not at all. I read it recently. I read it probably a year and a half ago. And this is even worse. I listened. Well, I don't actually think so, but I listened to the audiobooks, the Andy Serkis audiobooks. So dang good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It's just a performance.
I watched the movies probably almost about my Lord of the Rings watch time is probably equivalent to almost how long I've been alive.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the closest thing in terms of media as far as
yeah. Did you have those like? Because I think we're all probably around the same age. Did you have those like special edition DVDs of the
extended?
Yeah, the extended ones.
Yeah, they're sitting and they're in Jersey at my mom's right now.
Nice,
yep, still got them.
Yep, I remember getting those for Christmas one year, 1 and 2. Never got 3, but
you could probably find it.
Yeah, I am not. I didn't disappoint you before, but now I will. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I know, yeah. Doo-doo. Disconnect. I definitely appreciate it for sure, and like I love Fellowship. I love Fellowship. And then Two Towers was good, and then I'm just not a big Return of the King fan, and maybe that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I know it's controversial, and it won all these awards and stuff, but it is a hot take. To me, I could watch Fellowship any day. But I don't know if I would just put on Return of the King. But
I like all of them. I would never put on one. If I'm watching, if I want to watch Return of the King, I have to watch Fellowship and Two Towers first. Yeah. I cannot sit and watch one like a middle. I can't do it. Yeah. Not with Lord of the Rings. There's just too much emotional. I don't know. Too many emotional moments I'm missing out on if I do that.
Like the tomato eating scene.
Yeah, that's
breaks me. That's every time.
It's a very visceral scene.
Yeah, I want all my meals to feel like that. Like find me a meal that treats me that way.
So because Matt and I were having this conversation, because people don't know, but actually Hobby Vomit does have a secret agenda, which is to convert Matt to like Lord of the Rings. Okay. But Matt and I we've had this conversation routinely. The last time we had this conversation was just a few weeks ago, and I didn't say this at the time, Matt, but my wife was actually in the kitchen watching Return of the King.
Oh no!
And so she could overhear us, and she was like, "And I'm at the tomato eating scene," and I just
a classic. I mean, that is pure cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah. Just like the cinematography and the sound and just all of it.
The juice. That juice.
That is a beautiful scene, though.
It kind of really is. Yeah, it really, it actually is. But
you take that away, and I mean,
the whole trilogy falls apart.
Yeah. So true. Loses all its footing.
Well, cool. No, I think that's a really cool pitch and really interesting, like things that prompted you. It's refreshing not hearing just like basically you read the back of your own book, right? It's cool to hear like the origin, almost like an origin story, and like I can relate to that. Like it is fun dropping into like that. I would connect with that right away. Be like, oh, do you like dropping in somewhere and just being like, I don't know where I am, and then you get those revelations, and like it all comes together, and like that's why if you've seen the review, I really enjoyed it, and so like for
super grateful.
Yeah, but it's nice that like I think you recognize that that's not for everybody. Some people don't like that, but I think that's why it's important. Yeah, I think it's good that you throw that into your pitch because people can right off the bat know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I actually think a lot of the reviews that come in that people bounce off are super beneficial to people like interested in reading. I think if people are really like that sort of thing, they're gonna start to go towards it. And people who don't just won't pick it up, which I mean, of course I want everyone to experience it, but at the end of the day, it's not for everyone. It's just never going to be that way.
Sure.
But yeah, and it's just a way that I like kind of experiencing narratives myself. Like that feeling of playing Elden Ring and getting dropped into this world, and you just like look at it and you know that there's something about it that it's begging to be discovered, and the layers that exist in that world and the lore and the history, it's all so fascinating, and you really don't know like what you're getting into. So creating that narrative and kind of turning it into the narrative form and turning it into a novel, to be honest, I think it was more of a subconscious effort, because it's just like, okay, I want to, I like a story like this. And if I were in this world and I were discovering it myself, what does it look like? Like, what does it look like through the character's eyes? And this goes back to like a Steven Erikson thing. I know you guys are reading Dead House Gates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of that through the character's eyes, like, what are you liable to see? And if you see someone who's mature, you're not going to get, the character that's just learning about the world, and now you get to learn about the world with them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a useful tool that many authors are excellent at using. I just really didn't want to use that in book one. Book two, we kind of get a younger character who comes into it. And I know you mentioned alpha reading, Ian, so you guys are definitely on board for that for July 15th if you guys want to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt that it just didn't come up that I needed a character like that in book one. And so I didn't put him in there.
Yeah. I found it really refreshing because, I think that lends itself to it feeling very just a lived-in world. And it actually feels like a lived-in world instead of, sometimes you'll get, fully grown adult that's just like, yes, the second son that's here because this. And I'm like, all right, that's one method. Yeah. So, and, Ian and I were kind of chatting about this a little bit. Like, I think I'm okay, especially with like Malazan, right? And I do find your book to be similar to Malazan with the experience of, getting dropped in and all that, and the world building and everything, that like, I'm okay if I don't get an answer to everything. That's just something like as a reader, I'm okay with, as long as it, I don't need, I'm a big fan of Lost, the show.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that like, I'm okay if we don't know, minor Lost spoilers, what the polar bears are. Like, that's okay.
Right.
I'm okay with that. Like, not everything needs to be answered, as long as like
which we don't learn, huh?
Technically, you don't. There is a. They did make a little video, a little epilogue video for all the complainers out there that needed to know. Yeah, it's on YouTube. You get like a post. It's almost like what a post credit is now. It's like a 10-minute video of what happens afterwards that explains some things that were left unexplained. But I mean, I was okay with it. Like, the important things you get explained to you, and I think that's what's key for like the author to do, is like get what matters across. There are some things that, I know that every reader is different too. There are readers that do want to know everything. So maybe how do you feel as a reader, and then as a writer, what are you striving to do?
Well, my first kind of dive into reading fantasy, was Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn by Tad Williams. And you are very much tossed into this world, and there is so much going on, so many names that, again, you don't know really how to pronounce. Like, definitely don't know how to, like, I don't know. I think I did a decent job. At least you have like some sort of relative like concept, but I know it's not perfect. But Tad Williams really like created an awesome language with Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And I just love that experience. I love just trusting that he was going to show me throughout the journey, whatever it was that he was going to show me. I didn't necessarily even know what it was, but I love that experience as a reader. As a writer, what was the question exactly again? I'm sorry.
I guess just like, are you, and maybe you don't want to say, is your goal to explain everything like fully, or are you going to leave some things up to just like intuition or what's important? What's not?
Think trusting the reader to sort of start to put pieces together was big for me. Like, that advice, I think I heard mostly Steven Erikson, is just like, maybe I'm misattributing that, so don't quote me, but it is trusting the reader. It is trusting the reader to, it's probably somebody talking about Steven Erikson, but trusting the reader to follow along about as best as they can. There are some things that are definitely intentionally left vague, which can be things that people love being like to be explained. So I do see somebody who really loves hard magic bouncing completely off of this, just because, like Malaz and the Warrens, you have something in this world that's magical, and there's tools for it that you can use to access it. So it implies that there are hard rules, and that's intentional, and that's all I can really say. But when it comes down to some things, I like to be vague because I want the reader to put it together. I want that there's as long as the reader gets a general idea and I don't bog them down in the detail of like what's what. It's sort of like an overcorrection maybe of Brandon Sanderson in a lot of ways. But it's just how I like my narratives. I like being trusted, and I like kind of going into a story and putting pieces together. It's one of the fun parts of stories for me, for sure.
Yeah, I always thought it was really interesting because one of the things that really got me into fantasy, I read some fantasy when I was growing up, and my mom finally found this Patricia C. Reed book on Enchanting Forest, like on the dragons. And that was the thing that hooked me. He's like, I wouldn't read anything she's like, but this has a dragon on it. I was like, I'll read that. But I bounced off of that into Dungeons and Dragons because, again, the dragons theme and classic story, wanted to play, other people wanted to play, but nobody wanted to DM, right? So I dove into DM, and then they have this little section on like DM's advice. And one of the things they talk about is like, do not lore dump. Don't do it. Like it's okay for you to know all the lore. Don't dump it. Just give them exactly enough to just move forward in the story. It'll all come out in time. And if you want to leave things vague, leave them vague, but don't over explain. Don't lore dump. And then you go like to read fantasy books and you run into that. And then for me, it's like, when I got to read, the Gardens of the Moon, and like especially with reading through Mercy, it kind of feels like that again. It's like kind of that experience at the table of like just trust the process, enjoy the story. They're not lore dumping on you. They're moving forward the narrative. And there's something really cool about that too, of like getting to these epic moments and these really awesome scenes, and then finding out about the contextual significance of it. And things like that is a really cool experience that you don't really get if it's like lore dumped on you. But I always thought that was funny how like I'm told to play a certain way in D&D as advice, but then you do have a lot of fantasy stories that kind of take the opposite approach.
Yeah.
And certainly my flavor is more like the Steven Erikson and more like how it is in Mercy. And like I'll trust the process, and it's really cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a super interesting. That's actually a really cool. I have DM'd before. I don't really know if I knew that in the DM advice page. I never really gave too much lore information. I think that even DMing, it was just always like, here's this person that looks like this, and like maybe you'll have some questions as to why they look that way, and if you ask, I'll answer. But the information I give you is going to be through the mouth of the character. It's like you have to ask him or her a question, whatever it is. And yeah, I do appreciate that so much. It's so cool that it says that. I had no idea. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like I'm indulging too much to just like, here's this part about this world, and now here's even one sentence that just doesn't necessarily. It just feels for me like, I don't know. It doesn't really work. If it doesn't work, and then I'm out. I'm like, no, I'm good. You guys, I'll give you something later in dialogue. Hopefully that's the goal, or through maybe just someone's own inner voice that you get this information from. Definitely in book one, I guess in the second half, especially, Ian, I know you're not there yet. There's I try to do that through dialogue, and I try to kind of give a better picture of the world. Or in some instances, I try to give you what somebody's perception of the world is, and then maybe you take that as like, oh, this is how it is, and that's fine. But it's not always going to be the case as you move through the story. You know, it's never like that. Well, life is not like that. So. Yeah.
Well, I've got two for you because we keep coming back to Elden Ring. So I've got one funsy question, and I've got one serious question. My funsy question is: did you know that there's a graphic novel for Elden Ring?
I did not. I know Sleep Token just had a graphic novel.
It's an absolute satire. It's like intentionally bad.
Oh,
but it's so good.
Interesting.
There's a graphic novel for it. It is intentionally bad. But I wasn't sure. I ran into it. I was like, what in the hell is this?
Have you seen Grace Given by Smoketown?
I don't know if I've.
It's like an encyclopedia of Elden Ring. I have it in there. I
can't. Yeah.
I saw it when you got it. Yeah, it looks crazy.
The artwork is like unreal. It's so nice.
I'm pretty sure the YouTube content creators on Elden Ring have they do more work than solving cold case murders to understand.
They honestly probably. I was like going to reach out to them because I'm like, hey, like you guys love Elden Ring. I was like going to send them something, but I probably do that later, like in several months. But just gonna.
So my serious question for you, because this is something I always thought was really cool about Elden Ring, was they hired George R. R. Martin, but he didn't write the story of Elden Ring. He wrote the world of Elden Ring, and then they made a story. So I now this is an oversimplification, but I feel like sometimes there's a world, there's like a lore, and it gives birth to a story. And then there's other times where there's like a story, and then through that story you find a world. And I was kind of curious, like with you and with Mercy, did you feel like it was one way or the other? Did you feel like you had this like awesome world that you wanted to breathe life into through a story, or was there like a story idea that sort of breathed life into the greater world around it, or is it something else?
It's a little bit of both. The world was I started developing the world when I was DMing. It was like 2 groups of 8, and I had my goal was I have a whole like character sheet that one day maybe I'll have you guys check out, where I created rules, and the rules were very loose. Like I liked the way I like to DM is let the characters tell the story and like let me show them what it looks like. The world itself was explored in that way. And then when I sat down to finally start writing the book, I had a backstory of the first character I ever played D&D with, and that's really what I stuck with. And then through that, it was asking myself through his eyes, okay, why did this character do this to him? What was this connection, the character that he's connected to, what was their life like? Like what brought them to where they are? And then also like why? Why did this happen to this person, and why that way? And it's just like sort of just go from there, where the world started to kind of morph around these characters. But there was a story, like I said with the what if questions, there was a story that I wanted to tell, that I can't get too much into it until all the books are out. But like I know each book where I want to start and where I want to finish. I have like a general idea. And then also grand series wise, I know how I want the series to end. And again, just thinking about it, I start to feel that catharsis kind of rush over me, but it's like a very, the story and the world were there. I discovered more of the world, as I went, really, in book 1, and then the story, you have to still discover how to get from point A to point B. So there's still a lot of discovery there. So the answer is both, as I guess as clean as I can make it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's very much like whenever I do custom like Pathfinder, D&D, or like Daggerheart or things like that. We did a little bit of one last year. And I was like for me, kind of preparing those materials, it was very much the opposite. It was like my brain would always tinker on this world, but it was always like the mythology. Like those where my brain always wanted to go, and it was almost like I know Matt, we were talking about Lord of the Rings, but it was almost like I kept wanting to tell Lord of the Rings, but I had to keep going back to like working on the Silmarillion in a way. It was just like that's where my brain wanted to be. It was like not in the story, but like in the world building. But I also like like how things interact and like how things can come about from those interactions, and so but it's just it's really cool getting to see the interplay. And I you were talking about how it's got a mixture of both, and I can kind of already see how that might go. And I think it's really cool. I think it develops into a really cool story. I'm definitely very excited to see where it continues to go too.
Yeah. I can't wait to get a book too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm really excited for you guys. You guys are gonna get like I mean, this draft compared to like early books, book 1 stuff is just, it's crazy how you really can see your growth. And this isn't me like patting my own back, because there's obviously still work to do, but just it is crazy to see the difference. It is working with professionals and getting their editing on your stuff, and then also just like constantly working and going through it. It's crazy. It is kind of surreal. You're like, oh wow, I wrote that sentence. Like that's wild. I didn't know I could do that. Going back to what you were saying, Ian, about I think a lot of that also there's things that I like carrying. World building I love lore, and it exists, but it's hard for, like, I do have some documents where I explore it vividly, and then but what the characters know and the perception of what the characters think, it kind of limits you very much. So, and you kind of see that in the second book. You'll see you'll see a particular character who maybe has a little bit more experience, and you'll find, like, I guess he sees the world a little differently than everybody else because the world has changed a lot, like over the course of time. But yeah, you guys, have you played Daggerheart yet? I actually haven't played Daggerheart yet.
A little bit.
I have. We have played. We played with a beta, and then I have a packaged, still in plastic copy on my desk that will hopefully one day get to see play.
It's the classic adult trying to do a role-playing game. It's like the plan is in place, the stage is set, everyone gets there for session 1. It's awesome, and then we try and plan session 2.
It's like, oh, I'm not available.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those other hidden secrets. My wife and I, we love having kids, but there's also just like, I know that one day the plastic will come off because I will make my kids play this game.
There you
go.
When you start the sentence with, we love having kids.
I couldn't find a party, so I just gave birth to a,
there you go. They have to sit at the table.
You'll play Daggerheart and you'll like it.
I really would want to try that one day.
It's really, I will say, it's my favorite system. I'm still relatively new to, like, I've never played more beyond like a session 2, just because I've started a lot of session 1s, but as far as ease of play, and I think you would really like it because of what you said, it lends itself really well to the characters and the story about the characters. There's very few rules, that's the type of game I like to play, is like, right, I just want to know the story. I just want to be there and play a character and enjoy the story. I don't want to take an hour after every session and like crunch my character or anything like that. And so, it super lends itself to that. Very easy to play. So I think you dig it.
Awesome. Heck yeah. All right. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of like, I've been trying to tune into the Critical Role, like them playing it. But I'm having, again, less time these days.
Yeah. It's a big commitment. It's like 3 hours a week or something like that.
Yeah. I used to, I'm still like, I'm on like episode 80 of campaign 3 still or something. Like,
nice.
I'm like not. I have to catch up. I'm so behind.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a ton.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt and I feel it just with like the more that we incorporate reading, right? It's just fundamentally like has to eat away at the other time where, like I was watching a lot more shows. It's like I don't watch. I think movies is maybe for both of us. It's like the smallest section of our recap. So other than me, often sometimes going on tirades about certain shows, but yeah, like as books grow, like something has to shrink, and a lot of times it's going to be like it's going to be game time or it's going to be movie time and things like that. I'd imagine that the same is going to be true as you ramp up on writing and reviews as well, right? So it's just because has it cut into like your reading time? Like, are you having to just like read less now that you're kind of having to be preoccupied, or are you still finding lots of time to read other books?
Funny enough, when I'm in drafting mode, usually it's I can find time to read. I'm able to make a little bit more time to read. It's a little easier for me to sit there and do that. Right now, I guess technically my brain is still in this revising mode because I'm getting book 2 back from my last alpha reader within the next 5 days. So I am like, twiddling with the third book and sort of POVs and what the world looks like and where the characters are. But that it's a very loose drafting process. So me finding time to read is still caught up in, okay, let's get book 1 out there. And also like, I love talking about it. Like one of the reasons why I wrote this story is, I love sharing the thing that I love with people. And I love like what that brings out of people. I don't know. I just think it always makes conversations more fun. So there is wanting to talk about Mercy more. So that takes up some time. I usually read at night before bed, usually on my Kindle. I have Will of the Many on audio, and I'm jumping between physical and audio, and it's hard. I'm in New York, and the subways, it's like super hard. There's so much stimulation between like looking at people's faces and sounds, and like not, you don't want to get shoved onto a track. You don't want to, you don't want this lady to get next to you to get shoved on a track. So you're just like, okay, I gotta focus. So it's just like listening to music and just like, but when I'm able to like just sit in like locally in my area and like go on a walk, I can listen. But yeah, usually I have to make time. Weekends have been okay for reading. During the week, it's really hard. It's because I have to sit down and either right now I'm again twiddling with book 3, and then once book 2 comes back, it's gonna be it's so much easier for me to sit down and revise, but that will definitely take away time from reading for sure.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had two quick follow-up questions. So the first one, very quick. This is a channel that we have multiple hobbies that we try and balance, and Ian was just chatting about that. Do you have, other than reading, do you have a major hobby that you partake in?
I mean, my work, I'm a personal trainer, so if it's a hobby to work out, I do that. It's so boring.
Hey, people love it.
Yeah.
I need to find out how to love it.
Yeah, no, I'd say most of the week I don't. Like like I love personal training. Working out like myself is usually it's usually really hard to get into, but I think that is really it. My girlfriend and I love going to like restaurants and eating food. It's like a big thing. Especially in New York, is just good food everywhere. Generally, no. Like I play. I actually am playing D&D this weekend, first in-person game in probably, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you, years. And then next week I'm playing D&D with some BookTube folks on Thursday. So that's going to be live streamed, I think, on Nerd Level Rising's channel. That's that. But like that to me is playing, also like I'm hanging out playing, like, yeah, but it's like, we're streaming and doing a thing. But at the end of the day, like that is what I'm able to do. So it's fun. Yeah. Gaming lately it's been like once a month. The last 2 months I've been able to like kind of get on with one of my buddies from home, from Jersey. We played what did we play? What's that game? Oh, why am I forgetting it? It's like Super Earth.
Oh, Helldivers?
Helldivers 2, yeah.
Helldivers 2, man.
Nice. Yeah. We were playing Helldivers 2, and then we played Diablo 4 a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So I try to make time for those like things every once in a while, but it's, for me, like when I'm addicted to something, that's what I'm comparing. That's what I'm drawing it next to. Like I barely have these hobbies anymore where I used to play hours and hours of video games every day. It's just like that's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Adulting. I just don't have that time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love honestly, I love the restaurant answer, because that's like, if I had to, I would have never guessed. Like, I definitely think that's a hobby of like trying new restaurants. Are you more of like a try a new place kind of thing every time? Or do you have your favorites you go back to?
If we don't try a new place, we usually try to something, like try to eat something new where we like going. But also we know what we like, and sometimes we're just like, let's just get this thing that we know we like.
Comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a favorite type of food?
Ooh, that's tough. I love sushi, and I love pizza.
All right.
Like the answer. Yeah, the answer for I think everybody's favorite food should be pizza, because you can pretty much almost put everything onto pizza at the end of the day. Yeah. Like you can make a pizza out of anything.
Fun fact, my first food I had when I got to go visit New York was calamari pizza. So
there you
not
go.
quite sushi, but
it's sushi and pizza.
Sushi and pizza.
Calamari pizza actually seems really good. Wow.
It was really good. I was surprised. Yeah, my sister went to law school in New York, and so she's 7 years older, and so that was my first time getting to go to New York. Was when she moved out there. I rode in the truck, and we all went out there and to move her in. She was in an apartment. Her next door, the next building over, was like a Hell's Angels club. And so this is a classic story. Anytime my sister and I have lived somewhere, we've always like near someone. We're like, we'll be safe because they'll make sure that the more dangerous people are not here.
Yeah. That's
funny. Wow. Do you feel a certain type of way? We'll move on from pizza here in a second, but I gotta know.
Sure. I can talk about pizza all day.
Yeah, let's do it. We're swerving. Do you feel a certain type of way about? I don't even know. It's not a genre of pizza, but like deep dish versus New York style versus Detroit.
Deep dish is not pizza.
I agree.
Deep dish is cake. Yeah, it is cake. Detroit style pizza, that's the real deal. Detroit style pizza is the real deal. That is what Chicago pizza wants to be.
Yeah.
If I'm being frank. I out here I love a Detroit style pizza. New York actually has some like really, really good spots that have Detroit. Like we went upstate, random hole in the wall. We got this Detroit style slice or pizza. I guess it's not really a slice. It's always like a kind of like a I don't know how to describe it. again, it is. I think Detroit style is up there for one of my favorite styles.
Okay. Nice.
Probably right behind like regular, New York style pizza.
Something
Or actually,
special
I do
about
like tomato pie.
a
So
tomato pie.
what defines Detroit style? Is that the like everything's reversed on top? Which one is that one? You know what I'm talking about?
No, the Detroit style is like, again, it's like, think of what deep dish is, and then
Okay.
imagine it's actually great, and then that's what Detroit style pizza is. I'm gonna
What?
get a lot of hate for this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're bringing out the controversy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
stand
them's
by
it's like almost like it's thick, but the thickness is like all just like a doughy, fluffy crust, and then there's like the cheese and then the sauce on top of that. I guess I thought that was Detroit, but
I think that is Detroit. Detroit also is a little. The dough to me always feels a little bit more crispy and a little thinner.
okay.
Just by like enough. I don't know how to. It's just like there's a percentage that they bring Chicago pizza down to that they taste. Yeah. Or sorry, Chicago pie, cake, whatever it is.
Yeah, slop. Well, cool. So that was the excuse me, the short question. The other question going way back.
So funny.
Yeah. You talk about when we were talking about your other hobbies and with finding time for reading and
Sure.
and writing and all that. So I'm curious with your. I know you've got some inspirations for Mercy that you've pulled from, but do you ever find as like an artist, if specifically when you're in the writing mode, like the drafting mode, not the revising so much, but if you're reading something, when you go back to writing, do you find that kind of bleeding, maybe not bleeding in, but like melting into your writing a little bit? Like, I guess the best way to explain is like with like music, if I would write music, whatever I was listening to at the time, I would find it blending into my music a little bit. Does that ever happen with writing?
I try not to think about it, which maybe is the wrong way to approach it. That's a good question because I think it can, and I think you have to. I have found, at least in the revising process and working with the editors I work with, they also help me find my voice a lot. It's like working with a vocal coach. If you're singing and they're like, okay, you're singing and now you're trying to imitate, whoever you're singing. But with a vocal coach, they'll try and find your range. They'll help you kind of, open up your voice and really find your voice. I think now getting into book 3, I have become, maybe this is just like not aimless, but because there is aim, blind confidence. But I think like after the editing process that I went through with my editors, my voice, I found it. That's sort of how it felt. And now, does that mean it's perfect? No, it means I still have to work through it and get better. But I think for the most part, I've been fortunate that I've found my voice and I'm able to identify, if I write a sentence and I'm like, it sounds a little bit too much like Erickson or something, or like, which by the way, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like if I could do that. Then it's like, okay, like what makes it mine? Really? I actually, this isn't like an active thing for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It's sort of just is like a passive, just like, I just have confidence in the voice I'm writing with. And then I go with it and I stick with it. And I try to make it with a character. I focus on the character's voice and what they would sound like in my head. And that's what I try to make come out on paper best I can. And I know it's going to get better as I go, but that's the goal every time. The character is the voice and I'm just like putting it on paper, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess, I guess I didn't mean for it to come off as like you copying
no,
or anything, but just like just because like I think influence is just an interesting thing, like how you are influenced by something in your past or something you're currently experiencing. So that was awesome.
They definitely pop up. I smile because you are gonna see some influence. There's something I wear on my sleeve in book 2. And that's all I'll say.
Okay.
But I know you guys have read this story, so I know what's coming.
Nice. Okay. Cool. That's exciting. Do we want to do round 2?
Yes.
Of this or that?
Suggest let's do round 2 of this or that. Also, just a double check on the recording software. Make sure that we're all good to go, man.
Yeah, we're still running.
Perfect.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So round 2.
All right. I feel like I don't know you again. So I got to get you with these 10 very important questions.
The pizza just threw you off. It's causing us to question everything.
Because Chicago's my favorite, yeah. All right, so are you ready?
Yeah.
Ian, get the scorecard out.
Okay.
All right. Marvel or DC?
Dang, that's really hard. Shoot. I'm going to say DC. That's it. That's a tough one for me. I'm going to say DC.
All right, it's locked in. Movies or TV shows?
Movies.
GIFs or GIFs?
GIFs.
Acoustic or electric?
That's probably wrong. Oh, shoot. That's another tough one. I love playing acoustic. I love listening to acoustic. I also love listening to electric, but I'll say for the sake of 2-to-1 acoustic.
All right. Jello or pudding? Or neither?
Jello.
All right.
Jello, yeah.
Freshly cut grass or lavender?
Freshly cut grass.
All right.
FCG.
FCG, yeah. Manny or petty?
Well, neither.
All right. This or that?
I think the nails, you know what I mean? I'm out. This.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Outer space or deep sea?
That sucks. Deep sea's scarier to me because I can actually get in it. Outer space.
Wait, deep sea scarier?
Yeah,
you're saying?
100%.
Yeah. Something about that. That is all 10, but yeah, something about the deep sea is what's that phobia called? Because I have it.
Yeah, I had to like get in the water and swim, like in just California when I was in the military, and it is just like, trust me, going into that I was like, oh, like I've never really done this before, and I kind of got over it, but my first time I was like, oh shit, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
But you're like with people, it's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like an official name for the phobia, but I'm pretty sure like the common nomenclature is just rational human fear.
Yeah.
Totally. The giant fear of the great unknown, cosmic horror.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, I think one other kind of fun question we can kind of follow up and open on discussion, and then I also have a question that my wife wanted me to ask you.
Sure.
But since we just did this or that, so follow up on a fun question. Since we are a mixed channel, if you had one book, one movie, one game that you could recommend, obviously we know that you'd recommend Mercy, but if you have another one that you'd recommend, what would it be?
I would say Tad Williams' Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. That's probably the one I see. And the only reason I say that is it's not my favorite. It's in my top, I think, 10 series for sure, top 5 series for sure. But it inspired George R.R. Martin and Game of Thrones, and we can say what we want about his work ethic. I mean, the man created a fantastic world that everybody talks about all the time. And Tad Williams has a complete world. He has, I think, 7 books, not including, I think, 2 or 3 novellas in this giant series, in this giant world with so much beautiful character voice and beautiful writing. Like, I cannot stress enough how beautiful his writing is. For nothing else, read it for his writing. If you just love like looking at a page and just being like, wow, that is a well-crafted sentence or a well-crafted paragraph, like just break it down however you want. I think Tad Williams is a good recommendation. It's hard to recommend to everybody because it is such a slow burn. It does take patience, and like we were talking about earlier, like it does take trust. But the writing itself just kind of kept me hooked the whole time.
You said there's a swamp in it too, and
and there is, yeah.
I'm in.
That's what I'm saying. Yes,
I'm in.
You're in.
I don't know why I like
You are.
fantasy swamps, but it is.
And I was like, I literally was reading that, and I was like, man, like some people got to do that more. And so then I was like, all right.
I love it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still pretty new to reading in general. I've basically last year was the first time I had read for joy or enjoyment since I was in like high school or college. So it's fun getting to like find BookTube and like everybody else. Now my TBR is like thousands of books, but it's been fun finding the things I really like. And for whatever reason, I love me a fantasy swamp. Something just like borders that like horror line. I'm a big horror fan, and swamps are scary, I guess, and I'm here for it.
Are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say it's been a funny recurring conversation because Matt will be like, "Dude, fantasy swamps," and then, like just yesterday he was like, "Dude, fantasy boat seeds."
Yeah. Apparently, I'm. We're gonna finish Dead House Gates, and I'm gonna be like, dude, fantasy deserts. I'm in.
Oh yeah, dude, fantasy deserts,
and now I'm
fantasy
just gonna
crickety old taverns.
Yeah,
Ooh.
fantasy taverns.
Yo.
Oh, we need more of that. Fantasy forest. Yeah.
So funny.
But yeah, sorry. That was the book you'd recommend.
Oh right.
Mm-hmm.
Movie, right? Movie and TV show, was it?
Movie and game.
Movie and game. Okay.
Any kind of game.
Any kind of game. Movie's tough because everybody's seen Lord of the Rings, so I won't say that. What did I watch recently that I really, really enjoyed? This is a tough one for me, which is funny, because it should be easy. I love like oldish war movies, like Black Hawk Down. I love, Saving Private Ryan. But everybody's seen those. Man, this is a tough one.
While you're thinking, did you see Warfare?
I have not yet. That is one that has been. I've been almost every day for the last like 5 weeks. I've been like, hey, I tell my girlfriend we should. Well, actually, I don't know if I don't think she'd like it, but I'm like, yeah, we should watch Warfare based on what I'm hearing. Like, it makes Black Hawk Down look like like a kindergarten class, which is crazy, because both were real things that happened, and I think they were pretty close to the actual events based on what people who experienced them said. But yeah, no, this is tough. My favorite movie, if I had to pick one. Ooh, actually, okay, I got an answer that maybe not everybody's seen. Tombstone is probably one of my favorite movies. That's up there. It's not my favorite all time. The Departed is up there, but I think if I had to recommend just anything, Tombstone is probably just like a steady, like an all-star cast, great story. I mean, Val Kilmer at his prime. I don't know. It's just like so dang good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tombstone is solid.
Yeah.
The other one that I love from that genre is 3:10 to Yuma. Have you seen that one?
Oh, 3:10. Actually, that's a super underrated movie.
It's a banger. Yeah.
That is an
That was like
absolute
my
banger.
talk recommendation for a long time.
Yeah, that is such an underrated movie. That's like, I don't know. That's such a Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. Like, come on. That's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right, how about a game? Video game, board game, role-playing game?
Video game, board game. Ooh, also, I'm going to actually revise my movie thing to a movie that I don't think a lot of people have seen. It came out in 2002. It's called Reign of Fire.
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale.
Yes.
And
Yep.
dragons take over London. That's all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to
sound real.
It's amazing. That movie honestly was kind of ahead of its time. If I had to go back, I got to go back and watch it. But based on when I watched it, I'm like, man, this thing is ahead of its time. It's crazy good movie. Okay, sorry. Game. Elden Ring is easy. That's like the easy one. Yeah, I think I got to just stick with Oh, okay. Actually, I do have an answer for this. Other than Elden Ring, I would say New World. I think it's like an Amazon Studios game that came out several years ago. I maxed out my character on there, and then people like stopped playing, and that game was so cool. And I like the combat system. I actually don't think I've ever experienced anything like it. Magic, guns, warhammers. I'm like, this is awesome. It's everything I've been wanting to play. It's great. It doesn't have a big player base, I don't think, but it's so good. I love that game.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I always I watched Reign of Fire, maybe at too young of an age, because I watched it because I think it was like 2002, right? Like early. So I would been like 8. I think I watched it when I was 8.
It's like peak like rom-com Matthew McConaughey. He's just like, I'm gonna do this movie.
That's what's great about it. So there's like this iconic like poster scene where this like bald bearded dude is like launching himself with an axe on a dragon, and you're like, that's Matthew McConaughey, and people are like, no, that's not. Like, no, that's
amazing.
Honestly, Christian Bale feels like he does in 3:10 to Yuma in that movie to me. Like he has the same like, I don't know. There's like a similar vein in that. In the character swagger, I guess.
I've got to watch it. I need to know.
Reign of Fire is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got 2 great additions to Movie Club now. We got Tombstone and we got Reign of Fire.
Yeah, very cool.
There we go.
I had a question. So I'm not just being new to fantasy and stuff. I don't when I read a story, I'm never very like the character names don't normally kind of reach out to me. I'm like, wow, that's a good character name. Nailed it. But like your character names, I just feel like they did just in general, and they just work so well for your world. So like, there's so many unique names in so many books, especially fantasy books. Like, what is the process of drafting those names? And have there ever been multiple iterations for a character?
Yeah, Alavist actually was one where I think Alavist started as
Bob.
No, I think the name of the son, Alder, was Alavist's name.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a spoiler. I think I say in the beginning. Yeah. Artorias actually was not Artorias initially. That also belonged to Alavist at some point, and then I eventually got to Alavist. Eravane was Artorias at one point. And then you see literally Eravane's name change. Well, not change, but you see what happens, and he goes through something, and then there's a reason why they put Vane at the end of his name. That's a tough one. The character name sort of like Haid came from a D&D character, a buddy named Hayden. Cade 6, I don't know if you guys ever played Destiny 2. Mm-hmm. We made his D&D character very much like Cade 6.
That's fun.
And so we called him Haid 6, and that was so Haid came from that. Salismir I think is actually my favorite name.
That's a good
oddly.
One.
Yeah, that's my favorite name.
Was Marin?
I don't know.
Ever? I mean, like,
Marin had a different name actually, and I can't remember what it was. Okay. As we sit here and speak, but it was definitely something different. Dang, I should go back and look. It wasn't Marin though.
Okay, because
I think it started with K. A lot of names started with A and K. The gate, like, and then I had to go in and change them because I was like, okay, there's too many A words and A letters. Yeah.
I found it fun, like with Marin's character too. Just like you could kind of put like an L in there, right? And then it becomes Merlin. But like that's fun. Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I found that like a fun little like that's cool, and it works. It doesn't feel cheesy or anything. Like it's just like a cool. I like that.
Yeah. That was I was like, man, this is really close. I was like, nah, but it works.
It works. Like,
yeah. Telvath, King Telvath wasn't always King Telvath. Can't tell you what he was. Before I should have remembered. That's crazy. It just kind of like went out of my brain.
Mm-hmm. Also Bob.
Yeah. Also Bob. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's sort of like naming. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Naming conventions for me, it did stem. I was like, okay, let's start with the name and sort of break down like what makes the name, like what parts of the culture makes the name, and like the language. So it's not like perfect by any means. It's definitely not as like, the one tree in the forest to the west in blank, was named X, and therefore every name that starts in this culture's history has to be a certain letter. Like it's not quite there, but there are some things that like it does stem from. Like that, the first letter of the name is usually indicative of some sort of standing or status of the family. I try to make it that way about as much as I can, and it also depends. Like there's not like more value to one letter. It's more so like a combination of letters that can be put a word. There you go, a name. But yeah, nothing super crazy there.
I mean, that sounds more. I mean, like I think as like a reader, whenever I think about someone coming up with names like that, I would never guess there's even like that much depth. So it's cool that there is. I think a lot of times it's just like that sounds like a fantasy name, and I'm gonna put it down.
Yeah, I'll say most of the time it's like that, and then it's like, okay, I do like the idea of exploring where it comes from. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're a fan of the Vikings, specifically the shows.
The show?
But also, yeah, because because I noticed that you have like, I can never pronounce it right, but the Hadranians,
Murdrinians, yeah.
yeah, Hadranians. But I just immediately when I read that word, all I could picture was a Viking because of Harold Hadrada.
Hardrada. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I was like, I was wondering, I was like, is this like part of the naming scheme?
That was
maybe just
100%.
happened.
Yeah, I'm glad actually you said that. That is definitely, yeah, straight up. That is after Harold Hardrada. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was very cool because I was just, I was like, from that moment forward, I was just like mental picture of just like these Viking people, and then it's just it definitely helped for me at least. Like I think that's where, not everybody's gonna know that, or maybe not everybody's gonna like the show or like read the history or things like that, but it can definitely like there's things like that I feel like could help make it more digestible. And I don't know, like even with even if a reader doesn't grab onto like the naming scheme that you're putting forward, I feel like there is still a way it bleeds through. Especially when you have like friends or brothers or family members, and it becomes like they become easier to remember by association.
Yeah.
And I think it does help a lot. Like, I can't say every time it's like screwed up a name, but then if I can get one of the other names, then I get them all right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I love Vikings. That's my probably. I think it's really usually a toss up between that and Peaky Blinders as far as my favorite TV show.
Oh, nice.
I want to do the Peaky Blinders thing, but I'll have to say a bad word.
Peaky
fucking Blinders. It's so good.
But it's Thomas Shelby and Ragnar are just, to me, it's like, Farm Boy to King. Like that's what you get with both those characters, and they do it so well. Like they're so imperfect, and the actors just, lived in those characters. It's just crazy how good they were.
I need to watch Vikings. I've only seen Peaky Blinders, but
Vikings
now I'm in.
If you like Peaky Blinders, you got to watch Vikings.
Okay.
I know they're very different.
Yeah.
But if you like Thomas Shelby, Ragnar is going to resonate with you for sure.
Awesome.
So cool. So while we're on the subject, so there was a recent announcement that James Cameron's really excited about the Devils. So we might as well just start now. So if you could pick any actor, actress that could be cast in Mercy Tears of the Fallen from any time period. This is one of the funsy questions my wife wanted me to ask. You could pick any actor, actress from any time period.
Now, this is so tough. Travis Fimmel would be perfect for Alavist. I would love him as Alavist.
Who is that? Who is it?
He's Ragnar in
Oh,
Vikings.
okay.
Yeah, he would be a sick Alavist. This is so tough. I literally thought about this the other day, and then the name went out of my mind for Viala. Dang it, I can't even pick it. What show is she in that I was watching? Nah, it's not coming to me. I don't want to do Viala injustice by saying the wrong name. I always wrote. It's funny. I love movies and TV. I love the idea of acting. I wrote Alavist. I was like, if this becomes a show or movie ever, if it's in 20 years, I could play Alavist. If it's in 5 years, I could play Eravane. I was like, that would be sick if I could do either.
Yeah.
But that's just something that I genuinely wanted to do. Nira, man, give me. Oh, actually, I did have an idea. Viala, as unpopular as the show is, Rings of Power, the lead in that show that plays Galadriel, I think that she would be a good fit. I actually think she's a pretty good actress.
She's phenomenal, yeah.
I think Rings of Power kind of just, the story kind of just does a disservice. But I have to watch. I have to watch second season. I haven't watched it yet. I thought the first one was fine.
Yeah.
Fine. And fine is a very, very hard fine.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so that was
I'll give it that.
That was the actress I had in mind. I should probably get her name, and I don't have it. But I would like her as Viala, or Nira. Honestly, I think that'd be cool. Yeah, Eravane and Hate are tough because I would like to play either. Then I'm selfish.
I'm curious. So do you have acting experience, or you lock in for this?
Relatively, definitely not a lot. I have taken a few courses, and I was an extra in a movie that's coming out sometime next year because I kind of wanted to see I'm obsessed with process.
Yeah.
So I kind of like seeing how storytellers tell stories, and there's a Timmy movie coming out this coming year, Chalamet, I think it's coming out this year. There's an extra in. I don't know if I could. I genuinely have no idea. I probably can. It's like
we are being monitored. Our channel is being
don't
monitored.
know. Someone's gonna like there's gonna be like some Chat GPT AI thing. That's
Yeah,
gonna find me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it, by the way, it might not even make it into the film, but yeah.
We'll have to have a watch party.
Yeah, just pause for one
just
frame.
That scene.
Yeah. No, I love the idea of acting. I've always loved like again storytelling. I'm obsessed with it. And acting is just another way to do that. Like playing D&D and being a character at the table and being a DM and being all these other characters. That's just so fun to me. A part of that is acting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's hard for me to pick out exactly who I saw. Who did I see? Again, I watched another movie yesterday where I was like, this guy would be perfect. I have it. A young, he would be Salazar. Shoot. Oh, this is embarrassing. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. Otherwise, it's not going to come to me. It's like a young version of an older actor now that I literally just watched probably yesterday or the day before. I'm like, man, he would be perfect for Salazar. And now I don't have it. I know exactly who it is too. That's crazy.
Yeah, if it comes to you, let us know.
I'll let you know. This is a tough question.
Yeah. Would you rather be a movie? Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I think the name is pronounced Morfydd Clark is Gladriel from Rings of Power.
Okay.
Morfydd Clark.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm pronouncing. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I think that's the.
Yeah.
So yeah, she does a great job.
Would you rather it be a movie or a TV show?
TV show.
Yeah. Just to flesh
I think
out
like
the
a 5. I think every book gets 5 episodes, and that's all you need.
Okay.
Really.
Like you're just talking for your books or for books in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For the ones that I think you could sum it up in 5 episodes.
Hour long.
Well.
Like a
yeah.
chunky episodes.
Yeah. I think whatever it takes to get like that arc of the story done with. I think you can do like an hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half, and then you're good. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Even though hour and a half, I guess you're in a movie.
Yeah, but it's TV.
Yeah, exactly. On TV.
Yeah. That's crazy that you were an extra. Sorry, that is like that's really fun. I like the process and stuff too. So that's a fun thing. And yeah, it makes sense. Would you do it again? Like
I don't think I'd want to be an extra again.
Okay.
No, I think I'd want which is like, I'm not active in that world enough to like pursue anything.
Sure.
I know the Elden Ring movie was coming out. I literally texted somebody and I was like, hey, who's in that industry? And I was like, hey, how do I get a role in that movie? And I actually have to go back and read his message. I didn't respond. But I'm obsessed with process. Any sort of process. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of The Rehearsal?
Is that Nathan Fielder's show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have heard of it. I haven't seen it yet, but I really do want to watch it.
Yeah, if you've seen other Nathan Fielder stuff or you're okay with that type of humor, if you like,
absolutely.
I mean, it really is like dissecting process in a way.
Okay.
But still with that like human behavior Nathan Fielder twist. It's one of those that like I don't think it's certainly not for everybody, but I think everyone should still watch it and they'll come away with it being like, I've never seen anything like that. That was just wild.
I've seen clips and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's
he
wild.
Gets away, that man gets away. In the name of comedy, that man has gotten away with so much.
He really has.
He I don't know, he quadruples down. That guy is like committed.
He really is.
He's committed to he's the definition of committed to the bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's genius though. It just works for me so well.
Very much so.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what you think if you ever do check it out.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah.
Ian, I'm sorry, Ian, what did you say before?
No, you're good. Yeah. So my wife's more serious question, because my wife is a writer as well, and so
cool.
when I asked her, I was like, hey, you want to help me brainstorm some questions for Chance? She's like, that would be great. And so one of her first questions that she wanted me to ask was actually about your process. Do you have what you would characterize as a writing process? And then kind of on top of that, like, do you have something that helps you get into that writing process? Like for my wife, she listens to she has like a song for every story that she writes. She'll like listen to it and then she'll like get into writing. That's what helps her. I was kind of curious. Yeah. Like, do you have a writing process that you would characterize the writing process? What helps you with that?
Yeah, I think as I go, like book 2 and now starting like dabbling into book 3, I'm starting to figure out exactly sort of what that looks like in terms of, in reference to the context of the process that you're discussing. yes, I think that I'm starting to iron it out. Book one was very much just like throw shit at the wall. Excuse my French. And just like try and see what sticks in your brain. Early on, it was a lot of just research, a lot of like learning how to write. So it was really hard for me to refine process because I was figuring out exactly what that meant. Book two and drafting it, I got into the rhythm by like soft outlining, maybe 6 to 8 bullet points of 10 chapters, and then starting to write. Like getting ideas of like what perspectives I'm going to write in helps a lot. And so like starting there for me, and I did this with book three so far, has helped. But at a certain point, once I get the ball rolling, I'm like, all right, let's just like sit down and write. And to get into that process, I'm trying to lose it. It's hard because I think I rely on it a bit too much. Just laying down, I do Wim Hof breathing for like 11 minutes, whatever that like video is. Deep breathing, inhalation, holding exhalations, and then I'll throw on I have a writing playlist on Spotify with Fitzer's Choice from Vikings, like one of the. I mean, that one was based off of one from Arrival. Actually, let me pull it up right now. I think it was.
Man, the
like
main
it took
theme
heavy.
from Arrival's so good.
It took heavy inspiration from One of 12, from by Johan Johansson. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Also from him, The Beast from Sicario. Love that. Which is another movie that I'd highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen.
So good.
Insanely good.
Unbelievable. That ending. Oh. And then just a bunch from Hans Zimmer and Dune. I listened to a lot of that. But Witzer's Choice can always, like, I just throw that on, and that usually gets me into my brain ready to prime to write for sure. And then it's just sitting my ass in the chair and working. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, that's really kind of what you got to do. And I always go back to Stephen Pressfield's advice on that. It's just like, put your ass where your heart wants to be. And so I do. And usually something comes out of it. So, yeah.
Awesome. I had a.
How about?
Sorry,
Matt. I didn't mean to interrupt, but Ian, how about her process? What is it? So, other than the song, is there something else that she pops on or pops into?
Yeah, so kind of one of the things that sort of characterized things for us is kind of building all of this process like around our kids, and that's sort of what inspired like her, like the handle that she goes by online and things like that as well. And so she was working on a novel when we got pregnant with her first, and then we kind of had this realization of like things have to be very intentional, like because now that we're gonna have a kid and we want to write, we want to be able to make this happen. And then we were also considering like she was working at the time, and thankfully enough we're blessed now that she gets to work from home, not work from home, but she stays at home and she writes at home and she's with the kids, and that's what she's always wanted. And
Fantastic.
so really blessed. And when we made that decision too, I was like, we got to be extra intentional because like this is a real opportunity where you can spend more time writing, and like this is a passion for you. So for a lot of her process, it's very much about targeting like those times of the day when we know that our kids are going to be napping or asleep. So like in the morning, my wife's an early bird, so she typically tries to get up about 5:30. And then like the nap time kind of the middle of the day, and then in the evening after the kids go to bed. But she's not very much like I'm a night owl. She's not. So she's like wanting to be in bed by 9:30.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is kind of like what you said, like just ass in the chair. And that for her very much is like that 5:30 time, wake up, get the coffee going, get some tea going, get a song on, get to writing. And then in the middle of the day, it's very much just focused on, that's the brainstorming time. Like, okay, this is where we're really trying to come up with lots of different ideas. Like, the kids usually eat, they go down for the nap, she's getting food, and then she's like, okay, brainstorming. And then nighttime is very much like, what are my goals for tomorrow? Just kind of jotting that down before she goes to bed. And then we try to make at least one day a week where I take the kids and she just gets as long as she wants, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever she needs. She can just go to a coffee shop and just punch that out. And then for her, that's like her, like all of that game plan she's been working on for the week. That's when she just punches through.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And awesome. There's a lot to learn, I think, from everybody who has a practice like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I asked, because I think it's actually, I learned something right there. I'm like in my head having this conversation, like, man, maybe I need to wake up early again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been sleeping in too much, and maybe I'll work better in the morning. Like, who knows? it's always worth trying. It's always worth like giving a shot. That's really cool that you guys do that. And I imagine it's much more difficult to navigate, having kids and fitting that into a schedule. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, I think
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think one of the biggest like testaments I've definitely picked up from her, and that we just sort of learn is the idea that when you approach things, you approach it with intention, but not regret. So the idea is you focus on this is what I'm going to do, and if it just doesn't happen the way that you intended, that's okay. It's like I'm going to write. Kid wakes up, interrupts you. You just roll with it. You say, okay, you know what? Like this happened. That's okay. We're not going to dwell on it. We're just going to move on to the next thing. And I think things just tend to fall into place. Or at least that's been our experience. It will tend to just work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. I like that a lot. It's motivating me. Seriously, just hearing that. Great.
That's awesome. What kind of is that white peach sparkling?
This is just I reuse the glass bottle, so I'll peel off the whatever, just the regular spring water.
Something about that. Have you tried the white peach one, sparkling? That brand, that giant bottle.
I don't know if I have. I've had like the grape. I think they have a grape one,
grape
and a lime one. Yeah, I haven't tried the white peach yet. Lime, I know that I have.
It's good if you like the flavor ones. So, I had a question. When, like, an artist creates art, right? I think there's a lot of connection to that time in their life, right? You write a book here in your early 30s versus you writing a book when you're 50, and then reflecting back on that, 10, 15 years later of like that's who I was, So I guess my question is like, is there something you associate with the time you spent writing book one? Whether it is just like, oh, every time I did, it kind of ties in with the ritual, like, right? Like I'd always have that drink. Like there's a drink that's just like, oh, it takes me back to like when I was writing book one, like that kind of thing.
No drink in particular. I had a lot of, well, it's just going to sound weird. I didn't have a ton of free time, but I did have a ton of free time. So I was in the military when I really started writing book one. I associated a lot. I had just had a hip surgery, so you have to get up and stretch and sit in a chair, and there's like a lot of emotional things that were going on for me then that I can always kind of go back to and explore in just like a just like kind of getting an idea of where my head's at. I was in the middle of California, in the middle of nowhere, stationed there, and I just there's like smells that come to my head, visuals that come to me generally. Like now that you're asking, like now that I'm actively thinking about it, I'm just sort of answering your question.
Yeah,
like what's coming up for me right now.
Sure.
Sitting at this old rickety table in the dining room that I bought for the sake of playing Dungeons and Dragons, drinking my drip coffee, coffee. I don't know why that's an important detail.
It matters. It's different.
Yeah, and I would on the weekends I'd wake up early and I would have my coffee and I would sit there and read at the table a chapter or whatever of whatever book I'm reading, and then I'd go on the couch, throw on some ambience on the TV in the living room, and I'd sit in this comfortable chair, and I would read more. I'd make sure to book it for like an hour. If I wanted to watch a show, I'd let myself. Like I think I was watching Blue Eyed Samurai at some point during that time.
Nice.
And then I'd put the book down, go up, lay on the floor in my room, breathe, and then sit in the chair and just kind of get after it. And that was like the very early on. Like I just have this time. I gotta use it. Like I have to use it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to think about like specifically like almost senses like the smell or something. Like in 20 years, a smell will hit you, and you're like, oh man, it just takes you right. It's a nostalgia hit. Like that takes me back to when I was writing book one. Like I don't know, it's just like a cool thing that association factor.
Yeah. Where I was, it smelled a lot like cow shit.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep, and that is just kind of like what it was.
Yeah. Bottle it up.
So yep, got to bring that one home. Yeah.
Well, I know for a lot of people, like sometimes when you're working on something, because it's you were writing during that time, there's some people who are like, I want to share this with people that I have in my life to like see what they think and like see if they think it's cool. And then there's some people that are like, people in my life who know me cannot see this. My wife is very much the latter, but I was curious, like, did you? I mean, for a lot of people, military is a very formative period in which they really like the people they serve with become their family. Like, did you share your writing with people you were serving with, or with like friends or family at that time, or did you kind of just keep developing it kind of for yourself until it got to a more mature point? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I was again when I was really early on, I was trying to figure out process. So I had a buddy who reached out and was just like, you know, I essentially asked him what was going on. We had early in our career, we were working together, right? Working together. I use that term loosely, but he reached out. I sent him some. I give him. He's actually in the acknowledgments. I sent him some pages, and he got back to me, with X amount of chapters of information, pros and cons and stuff, and it was really helpful. And I'm kind of ashamed that I let him read that just because of how awful it was in hindsight. But yeah, and then my buddy Howie, who I lived with, my buddy Edgar, who I lived with. They wanted to read the usually it was the prologue that I just throw their way and be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Is there something here? And they're like, everybody, so I was like, yeah. Okay. I was like, okay, cool. My buddy Hayden, he checked it out, gave some good feedback, just more like critiquing, writing and stuff like that, which was helpful. But yeah, it was really cool to share again, like, I wrote it because it's a story I want to hear, but it also, like, there were a lot of points in my writing where I was like, oh, that's cool for me, like, just to be able to experience a scene or something that happens, and you're like, I need to. I love sharing things I'm passionate about, and I mean, you guys, Hobby Vomit, like, you love doing that. It seems like too, There's just something about that need to do that, and I know it's like not always good. You're like, okay, like if I suck and they tell me I suck, it's going to be really easy for me to stop. But like that was never an option. Like it's just something that I always want to do. So I don't know. There was definitely a lot of resistance for myself generally, but yeah, it's not something that I was worried about.
Very cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that you were sharing it and like getting out there. And I think you're right. It's just like when you're passionate about something, especially like a lot of times I feel like some people will shy away from it because like I don't want to feel like I'm boasting. But it's like if you're passionate about something and you're spending all this time into it, and like you've got people you want to share it with, like share it. Like it's cool, And it's always so cool to find people who share that same feeling too.
My girlfriend's ears probably almost fall off like. All the time. She's actually, I think, the only breathing person that knows how the story ends.
Oh, dang.
Which is like, again, I know that's probably frowned, like just as like, keep it to yourself. Some things I just can't. I'm just like, let me explore this, and like I need to share it. And she's usually the person that's right there to hear it. And I've been incredibly grateful that she's pretty patient about it. Yeah, I word vomit a lot, and there was some stuff that happens in book 2 that was born by me sitting there and like saying something like this is going to happen, and it's like, oh wait, like what if this happened? And it's you start asking yourself questions, and I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of discovery and sharing too. I find that I find a lot of things that happen by that.
Yeah, it just bouncing stuff off of someone else. There's so much value in that, to where like that's why I love chat. I think that's why a lot of people do booktube and YouTube for any of their hobbies. It's just you can close a book and you can have a conversation with yourself of like, that was great, like I can go over everything. But like if I'm bouncing it off of Ian or something, it just brings a whole different perspective to it, and it almost always heightens my experience. It's just I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, and like that's so cool, and like I don't know, it's just to where even in the creation process, I'm the same way as you. Like I don't understand how people can be like, I've created this art and I'm going to keep it secret for years. I'm like, how? Like, I just I
can't sit there and pretend. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
I can't sit there and pretend that like I'm writing the greatest thing on earth. Like that needs to, like, nobody can see this until it's perfect. No, I think it probably sucks, and then like I need to work on it. That's and so part of the working on it is sharing to me. That's definitely a part of it. But awesome. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. I was rambling.
I just think it makes it more real. I mean, when it comes down to it, like life is messy. The real things are messy. That's part of the cool factor, right? It's like part of the unique quirk that, that makes it like the story that came from Chance Dillon. Is part of that messiness. It's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of
I
messiness.
definitely have I have two questions. Hopefully we'll be able to get through them. The first one though,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you because we've talked about Lord of the Rings, and you mentioned that there was some apologies. What the book recommendation? The author had some novellas, or maybe it was George R. R. Martin that had novellas.
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams had novellas. Do you do other writing like while you're doing this? I was curious because one of the things I mentioned to Matt, and I don't know if you knew this, but Tolkien, that was one thing that he would really commonly do. He would take a break from Lord of the Rings by writing novellas, and some of my favorite novellas actually came from Tolkien.
Wow.
And so I was curious, do you do any other writing while you're working on Mercy, or has it kind of just been solely like, I got to get this done, this is what I got to work on, this is where my brain's at?
It's been an interesting. This is all part of the process too. I think is figuring that out. After putting book 1 into the hands of the editors and book 2 is done, I was like, okay, I'm not going back to book 2 yet, but I need to do something. So during that time, again, I'm speaking off of only a few years of experience doing this, maybe, so as I grow on this journey, I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments. But I did write. I have like 7 or 8 chapters of a Halvain, either novella or short story that I intend on finishing at some point. The main story to me is the important thing. Yeah. I did the Blood Rebellion short story that's on my newsletter and my Patreon. I did that. That was actually a cut chapter from the first book that I turned into. I added some things to and refined it. And that was a short story that I put through. I started, you have the great trees on both Anvia and Taldreas. There's a story to those that I started working on. But it was just like really just, again, you throw shit at the wall and see what sticks in your brain. And those are all stories that I do want to go back and tell. I don't think that they will be, and I know they're in world. I don't know. I actually don't know if Tolkien did novellas out. I guess he did outside, huh?
Almost all of his novellas were not in world.
Okay. So yeah, referencing that, I did work on. Initially, it was supposed to be a podcast script for a friend, for it's kind of like a psych thriller that I have. I have like a few, maybe 2 chapters of, maybe 6,000 to 10,000 words of that. I actually would like to keep exploring that as well. I stopped because it was like, all right, like, it didn't turn into anything. The story did. I was just on the precipice of like, okay, now we're in it. And I was like, okay, I had to put this down because I had to go back and edit book 1. But yeah, that's something that I also would like to explore. I do like, I don't know. I love story. Yeah, I think that there's some things in the future that I intend on writing outside of the world. Mercy is my priority. Once I get the 4 main books out and then the 3 standalones I really want to work on, during that time I'll play with those other novellas and everything. And then beyond that, it'd probably be honing in on that, any short stories that come up for me. There's between books 2 and 3, there actually is a lot to dive into with some characters. And because there's a relatively large time gap, that I think I know that there's a lot to play with that can be standalone or novella worthy. And I think it'd be really fun to do that as well. And then I want to go back, and there is, again, I told you, I was like, I literally have a system for a TTRPG. It needs refining, but I developed it. I have a character sheet for. I had like documents and upon documents of rules and things. I wrote the races, characters that all are related to Mercy. But I want to go back. Probably tens of thousands of years and to a different time, and I want to work on a TTRPG. I think that'd be so fun. That'd probably be my that's like high. That's like peak for me. Yeah,
that would be super cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. It's a special kind of storytelling. Like there's something really cool that you can get out of telling a story that's like for the table.
Yeah.
So you're talking about
and then it
sorry.
No, go ahead, Matt. No, you're good.
Oh, when you say you design a system, do you mean like a full on like the rules, like a Dagger Heart or something? You're not using any. Oh wow, okay, so that's a lot of work.
Yeah. No,
That's cool.
I have whole like all these rules. I looked. I did a bunch of research on other TTRPGs, and I developed the system first, and I was like, man, there's really no world to play this stuff in yet. So like, I was like, I need a world. I saw DC-20. I was like, DC-20 is really cool. It'd be cool to like, I don't know what that world's like, but I imagine it's going to be exactly like every other Dungeons and Dragons, clone that we get. And I know that there's other TTRPGs to play that are fun, but I wanted an epic fantasy one that maybe felt a little different from D&D. Yeah, so I have a whole system. The death rules I think are really cool. I'll actually tell you guys offline, just because I think I want to hold on to those, keep those pretty close to the chest. And yeah, just an energy system, like like how turns work, expenditure, tangible, points essentially to look at for both, if you're someone who casts into his magic. What does that look like? If you're a physical character, what does that look like? Class choice, skills. I tried to make skills more useful. I think that, downtime and skills, there's a lot to play with there. And, it's kind of like free flowing in terms of like asking character, like, okay, what would your character be doing during this time? And it's like, all right, well, if they want to, sit there and like meditate, like, what benefit does that give you? Like, I feel like it should give you something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just like always looking for boons in terms of like what to give players, a very yes and approach to that. But yeah, sorry, we'll talk about that offline. Yeah, because I want to dive into that so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if and when the time comes, would love to try it out and play test it or something, because that sounds fun.
So fun.
That sounds super fun.
It'll be really fun. Well, so we'll just kind of see where this question goes, but I am kind of curious just because it's been a conversation my wife and I have had so many times, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on traditional publishing like versus self-publishing, and kind of like what your ambitions might be towards traditional publishing, if at all, or just kind of where you're at with that.
Yeah, I initially started out and I reached out to like the handful of agents that would take on like a 220,000 word manuscript. I got back a few no's. And then I was like, all right, like I reached out to my editor, Dave Butler, who's working on the finale to Sun Eater right now, which is so sick. That man is super smart. And I shot him an email while I was querying, and I was like, hey man, like I'm going to query, I'll hit you up in 8 months, but I just wanted to get an idea of what your pricing looks like. He shot me his pricing. I was like, okay, give me plenty of time to save up the money to pay him. But I guess ultimately both are incredibly valid. It's just at the end of the day, like you have to be a pro, no matter what you're doing, traditional or independent. You have to treat it professionally, and I think a part of that is accepting that like I'm not good enough, especially because I wasn't good enough to be an impartial editor of my own story, and I can ask as many people for free, pay like $100 or here and there and like get as much feedback as possible. But at the end of the day, getting better at the craft does take having those professionals who've been doing it forever, who are accessible to us just to freelance. They do that. Like these senior editors at these publishers you can get them. You just have to pay them, which is not easy. I know it's not easy. You got to obviously work and save up money and do that. But I think you have to approach both professionally, no matter what you're doing. The reach that traditional publishing has is always going to. I don't actually know always, but it currently outweighs the reach that independent publishing has. I think independent publishing in the last few years is, from just me watching from the outside, is starting to gain significant. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe legitimacy, I think, is the wrong word, because I think it's always had it. But it's I think amongst readers, I think readers are getting more open to reading independently published books, which is fantastic, because there are so many good independently published books out there that, if you're talking just quality, can be better than trad published books. If you're talking about like periods missing and things of that nature, I think like that simple, like that level, They're independently published books because of the access to editors. Like they can be better than traditionally published books. It's going to be tough for indie to surpass. It's like in music or film. How many independent studios come out swinging, and it takes time for them, especially if they're getting into the industry. And a lot of times they get bought out by bigger production companies, and then there's turnover. It's like this whole thing. Books are a little different because of the access to the audience, and it's one person, right? It's me, the author, and like my choices that I make. So really, it comes down to the indie authors doing their part and adding to the pool of independent books and treating it professionally, because it deserves to be treated with the same care that traditionally published books are treated with. Both people, like both authors, traditional and independent, work very hard at the end of the day. I think it's just about, I have an inclination sort of to do, like, maybe it's a control freak thing that I have. Like, I just kind of like having a little bit more control, over some creative choices. This is a long-winded answer.
It's your baby.
Sorry.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not. I also can't sit here and pretend that my way's the highway in regard to everything. Like, if you want appeal to a certain dimension, you're going to have to make some adjustments, like, or not, and live and die by that sword, which is what I choose to do. I think if sitting here right now, if the opportunity arose to enter the world, I would like to get a little bit more leverage as an indie author, to go into those conversations with some experience, and that way I can again, you get more control over, more creative freedom. I think if you do that, if you build that leverage and that reputation. So that's my goal. I'd love to do that. I think it'd be cool to get more reach and talk about this story with as many people as I possibly can. I think that's fun. But at the end of the day, like, you guys sitting here talking to two of you is amazing, because when I started out, I was like, man, if I get one person to read this book and like it, like, that'd be incredible. And now we're over 200 and almost 40 pre-orders, and I never thought that would happen. It's
That's
like
awesome.
Pre-orders.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to take me months. I was like, yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying it because it's honestly simple. And conversations with you guys, and conversations with people that I've had, and people just reviewing, it's community is one of the biggest reasons that you get into this. And I think indie, back to your question, indie publishing sort of offers us that opportunity to communicate with our readers and talk about our process, and it gets rid of the mystique that traditional authors probably have most of the time. I think Sanderson does a really good job of talking to his readers, and he's kind of a unicorn in that way. As far as I know that are other authors that do that. And yeah, I wanted to sort of follow that example, because the guy's doing it at the top level, and also, just again, going back to passion and talking about your passion, you got to do that. If somebody's more inclined to traditional or indie publishing, I wouldn't look at one or the other differently. They both work hard at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not tooting my own horn. Like,
No.
You did something that I think a lot of people could not do. Most people, right? Like, if I think about trying to write a book, no. I can't form a sentence, like, let alone outline a whole book, and it's just such a different form of art than I could ever wrap my mind around. So yeah, I think you worked hard on it, and I think it shows. And I think you should be proud. So
yeah. It's funny how that all works out.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to. Well, and first of all, like, tooting your own horn is part of the purpose of an interview too. So you should feel bad about it. We want to hear it, right? So, but the reason why I asked the question is because I think it's an important thing to talk about. Because I've through my wife, like, interacted with a lot of authors, and I feel like there can be this misconception that self-publishing is the space of people who don't make it through traditional publishing. But I think that the reality is that self-publishing is really the space in which people develop their craft. They develop their kind of process. They develop their intentionality. And yes, like, people may not be very successful in space, but that's the point of the space in a way, is like to give you the opportunity to be successful in your own right, to figure it out, to actually develop yourself in your space as a writer. And I think that's why it's really important to talk about, because I think you're getting 240 pre-orders so far. It's defied your own expectations. And I think that these are all really, really awesome signs that show how something like this, like self-publishing, is helping you as a writer to develop your craft. And I think for other people out there who are considering being authors, who are maybe shy about their story, like, I don't know if a traditional publisher will pick up the story, like, that's okay. Like, there's a space for you if you approach it with the right mentality.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there are only so many agents in the industry, and there are infinitely more manuscripts that cross each of their desks. Not every manuscript is going to get picked up, let alone looked at. So, again, I think it's important to go into the self-published space with professionalism, in treating your work how it deserves to be treated. And if you have something and you want to put it out to the world, that's also fine. I think that more service is done to the work when you have professional eyes look at it, and that may take a lot of time. And there are people who maybe don't want to write the next book. Maybe it's not a series. Maybe it's just a standalone. And I know it's like every experience is going to be different. At the end, I am fortunate that I had years of experience in my trade, like that makes me money, to be able to afford and save up money for getting this book out there. But there's all that work that came before that I had to do to get that job, to make the money to pay for the book that I wrote. It's like it's all this stuff. It's all encompassing. It's always work, and that's okay. I think it can be touchy, referencing like, how much energy we have going into these things, and I get tired, man. But at the end of the day, I love writing, right? So it's like, if I love doing that, is the thing I love doing. If I love reading, I love writing. Like, if I want to sit down at the end of the day and play video games, I can do that. I also would love sitting down at the end of the day and writing. And it feels as good and cathartic doing that for me as it does doing those other things. So that's the fun part. Like, it sucks, but that's kind of the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I know that you.
Sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead.
One more quick. So we are hitting that 90-minute mark. So just want to let everybody know, because I know that was original intention. So, but I just want to go ahead and let people know. So, Matt, I know I interrupted you, so apologize.
No,
but,
you're fine. How dare you?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of leave it up to you to decide, like, when you want to do this and that, and in terms of time, Chance. I just want to make sure we're respecting your time as well.
Sure. I mean, were there any questions that you guys really, really wanted to ask, and we can kind of get them out, and then I'm happy to answer those.
My only interruption was same thing. I know we were approaching that, so I was gonna segue into our final this or that. And I know you. Totally. We've talked a little bit about maybe doing a follow up once the book is out, deep dive, spoiler territory. So there are certainly questions I want to talk about Mercy. But I think that saving some of those for that will be really fun and will be a good time.
Yeah.
Ian, did you have any others?
Yeah, those my last two.
Okay. Well, I feel like I know you intimately about 80%. We're not there yet. 66%, 66.6, whatever. So I need that. I'm craving that final third.
Yeah.
So here we go. Our final round of this or that. This is worth double points. So Ian's keeping score again.
Yeah.
You will be judged objectively as an author at the end of this. Here we go. Spiders or snakes? I guess which one
question.
you
am I
hate
scared
more?
Or would I bear more? I'd rather stare down a snake than a spider.
All right. Video games or board games?
Video games.
Summer or winter?
As much as I love board games.
Yeah.
Summer.
Okay. Fruit or vegetables?
Fruit.
Simple or extravagant?
Simple.
Crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter?
Crunchy, and I'm an almond butter guy.
Oh, okay. Short chapters or long chapters? To read.
They each have their place. that's a tough one. I think Malazan gives you long chapters with short scenes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You get a really long chapter that's broken up into parts and scenes. I think that is a cheating answer, but I use that one.
No, yeah. I love it. Jar Jar Binks or season 8 Game of Thrones?
I thought you were going to go into a Sith Lord question here.
Have you seen that though? The Jar Jar Binks Sith Lord video?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Oh yeah. So good. Just like which is worse?
Which would you rather have? Yeah, I guess. Which one?
Jar Jar Binks. I'll take Jar Jar Binks over season 8 Game of Thrones. I'll take most things over season 8 Game of Thrones. By the way,
fair enough.
Most things. But by the way, let me get this out of the way. My gripe is not with what happened, which I know that there are plenty to be had. My problem is with the execution and the rushed feeling of season 8. Just how. And also, you find out behind the scenes that the boys were offered a Star Wars show. HBO is like, "Hey, we'll give you as much money and as many seasons as you need." They're like, "No, we're good. We'll just sum it up." And then they sort of threw it in the trash. That's how it felt.
And they didn't even get the Star Wars movie.
They got fired. Yeah. They got fired. I think. Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I was trying to think: is there another character that's like as hated as Jar Jar? I was like, I can't think of any, so I'm just gonna put season 8 Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
Yeah.
All right, 2 more. Will they or won't they?
Will they?
And our final one, the most important: Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, or Mercy, Tears of the Fallen.
Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. How about you guys want the first ever? It's not going to go up before it's announced, but do you want the first ever recorded book 2 reveal?
I saw it this morning. I would love it. Yeah, hit us with it.
Yeah. All right. The second volume is called "Ill Is the Fate."
Love it.
And now you guys know.
Now
you guys are in on it.
We're in on it. Insider trading.
You guys are in on it. I imagine this isn't going up tonight, so
it's actually never going up. It's just for us.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just
it's for us. Okay, totally. Cool chat. Yeah.
So
that's the Mercy, Ill Is the Fate is the second book.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I think Matt had some ideas on what the intro song should be for when Mercy Tears the Fallen gets a show, but I definitely think we need Linkin Park for the season 2 with "Ill Is the Fate." Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so funny.
So before we,
go
for it.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
I was just gonna do it before we wrap up. We wanted to make sure that you got to let everybody know where they can find you, if you have any social media you want people to go to, or your newsletter, or where people can find you.
Yeah, Substack, X, things like that.
I'm on X. I'm Chance B Dillon, but it's BEE Dillon, DILLON. Chance_Dillon B on Instagram, and then chancedillonauthor.com is a pretty simple one. You can find kind of all the socials there. I probably should have just said that, and then it would be way easier. You could also my newsletter has the sample. It's the prologue, aka the before, and the first chapter. So 4 total, like really chapters of Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, and the Blood Rebellion short story that goes with it. And yeah, I think chancedillonauthor.com kind of has all the answers to the questions that people, if they want to find me, that's like the easiest way. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the release date, and where can they pre-order?
Yeah, July 20th. The pre-order is live on Amazon just for digital right now, because it's just there's like an uploading thing with the physical, but I will be doing a physical pre-sale of a hardcover. That's the goal at the end of this month with the landscape piece. I'll tell you guys, and I guess whoever watches this, the landscape piece is going to be the hardback, naked hardback. So that landscape piece that you can see on my socials, that's going to be, hopefully the goal is that's the naked hardback. I don't exactly, I'm going to contact Ingram and try to make that work, but yeah. That's going to be the pre-sale that I'm putting up.
Awesome. And then
that's gonna be cool.
Last one, I did want to make sure you had an opportunity to. Do you want to shout out your basically any like cover artist or artists of the pieces in your books or anything?
Yeah, for sure. Stuart Bosch did my cover. Actually, I have to pull up. There's a name for the person that did the front Harglon piece that I actually have a hard time pronouncing. So give me a second.
Oh yeah, you're fine. I love that there's art in it too.
Yeah, Robert Trotia did. He's actually doing right now. I can send you a mock-up, Matt. You haven't finished, Ian. Once you finish, I'll send it to you because it's kind of a spoiler. Omar Tunk, I'm probably saying that way wrong, did the opening scene, that opening piece of art. Stuart Botch or Bach probably did the book cover. He's doing book 2 as well. He did Ryan Cahill stuff, Jacqueline Hagan. He's Scott Palmer. He's done like a lot of big indie authors. Jack Shepard did the map. At Tall Shepherd. Bell Montero did the typography, and then Robert Chotia did the landscape piece, and he's doing a third piece for me right now that I'm very stoked for. That's going into the final edition.
Very cool.
Of the book. But
yeah, great art throughout. The map is gorgeous. Love the map. It's so good.
Yeah,
but
Jack crushed it.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Ian, do you want to wrap us up?
Yeah. So again, just a special thank you to you, Chance. Thank you so much for joining us for this and kind of being our first special guest, and also just for the opportunity to read Mercy. I'm really excited about it. Matt's the reason why I found it, and so I'm really glad that happened. And so thank you again that you can come on here and do an interview with us and just kind of hang out with us for 90 minutes plus of your time. And so just again, also for all people who see this video, thank you for joining us on Hobby Vomit for our first guest interview. Please, if you like what you hear, if this sounds exciting to you, please check out Chance at his links that he listed. Please check out Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. And if you're one of those people who likes to wait for reviews, then Matt will have a review up, I'll have a review up, and I'm sure there'll be more as well. But if you're interested in fantasy stories, I think this will be a really cool one. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to read more.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. I'm, again, super honored to be the first guest. That's crazy.
First and only. We'll never have another.
That'd be even better.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Matt. It's Ian and Chance, and we will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.